this band? I like this band. I wrote it down so I don't forget who they are. Oh, I remember. Fucking Slayer! Here we are. We're back again. Metal Horror Madness. We're back with Metal Royalty. Metal Royalty. We're talking a legend and icon here. Multiple albums. Some of my favorite albums of all time by Venom. Then he comes out with Venom Inc. Venom Inc. and he gets even heavier. He gets even heavier. I don't know what happened. I put the album on. Night turned to day. Day turned to night. Up was down. Down was up. It was insanity. And I love it. And I love him. We're talking. This is the mashup you guys have been waiting for. This ain't a jank mashup like your greasy grandpappy telling his stories. No, these are two metalheads here. We've got the Demolition Man, the MadMan, and we're here to bring you some primeval. Tony, how we doing, brother? How's it going?
I can't beat that, fucker. I can't beat that intro. Thank you so much. I'm doing really well. I had some extra coffee and some extra amphetamine just to try and keep up with you, you mad, crazy motherfucker. I can.
I don't know how to relax. So if I relax, it's all going to end. I got to be hyper. I got to be manic. I'm 47, so when Primeval came out, I was, I don't know, 12, 13 years old. That's how I got into Venom, right? So dude, when they ask me what album about Venom, I know I have to say black metal and Welcome to Hell. I know they'll all come at me. I understand.
Yeah, dude.
But Primeval, that album, I got to ask you right off the bat, what was that like to step into an iconic band during the glam metal? You had everything stacked against you, Tony, everything.
Yeah, but you know that I've always been an underdog, and you know the thing is, I think people tend to, you know, sometimes because the history gets a bit warped and people don't know too much. Is that you know, we all came from the same town. It was a very small place, and there was one studio that was Impulse Records, with Impulse Studios, which became Neat Records. And we were all in it together. So from very early on, you know, some teenagers, we all hung around. We all went to see each other's show. You know, I went to see their first two shows with about 30 people at them, which was just off the map, you know. And Manta's girlfriend lived across the road from my mom, so I saw him, and I used to jam with her younger brother. And the first time I ever went into a studio to see about doing a demo with my punk band about 79, early 79. Who was the guy, the T guy, who was the plug-up guy who was showing us around, was a very young, very skinny, very pretty Kronos, you know. So pre-Venom. So,
yeah.
You know, and you know, I traveled the same journey with them, you know, and I came along all the way with them. I was there when they were doing the black metal. You know, I got their first test press of the single because her brother came over. I was like, oh my God, they made a record. I was like, fucking hell, we don't make records. Right. We don't make records. So from very early on. So by the time I kind of joined them after Amcraft, and I was invited in to kind of, you know, revitalize the thing, I guess, you know, after the Calm Before the Storm, Possessed didn't do as well as the first albums. You know, they were friends of mine. So it wasn't like I was walking by and someone shouted out of a window, hey, do you fancy being in a band? Right. It's like I was already there. So it was like playing with your friends
nice.
who you'd grown along with, you know. So it was amazing. It was amazing fun.
That is all. And I got to say, I'm telling Primeval. Like, if you don't own this album, I mean, this is an iconic metal album that if you're a fan of it, you have to have this one. And to come step in there and deliver that kind of album, that's what amazes me because, they needed something fresh to come in. Something needed to pop, right? It was a tough time, the scene where it was. A lot of things were watered down, lighter. It was tough for a band with that reputation to be around at that time, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, in the late 80s, it wasn't so bad, but, you know, there was a kind of movement happening. And by the time it flipped into the 90s, you know, we had grunge, which was a massive wave from the US. Right. And of course, in the UK, we had Britpop, which was your Blur and your Oasis. So indie music had taken over the whole thing. And so, you know, the metal bands were finding it a bit difficult. So it was kind of hard to survive. And particularly for a band like Venom, we didn't want to morph into something else.
Right.
So, you know, I tried to put the punk back into it because that was where my heart was at. And that's what I loved about the early stuff was that no care, who gives a fuck attitude. It's not about the money. It's just about making a noise. And that's what I loved about it. I mean, we had Nick Tauber on that album, you know, from the Calm Before the Storm album, but also Whiskey in a Jar and stuff. So a good producer. He gave us a great sound. You know, I think I probably, when they asked me to come in, I had to kind of put the branch out for Mantis because he didn't want to know. But because we were so close, I managed to convince him that I would do it if he did it, and he
Yep.
came in if I did it. And I think I had probably, four or five songs already done anyway by the time he eventually said, "Okay, let's do it." So, for me, I got to write some new material. I got to make it really Venom-esque. I didn't want to mimic anybody.
Yep.
In my mind, I wasn't replacing anybody. I was just continuing. When Conrad didn't want to do it anymore, when he wanted to do his Van Halen thing and went to Boston, they asked me, and I just thought, I don't want a world without a Venom. And
Right.
so, they're my friends, and if I can help, I'll help. So I went in, I did my job the way I wanted to do it,
Yep.
and we got a good result out of it, and we meant it. We were really enjoying each other's performances. We were great, having a good laugh hanging about, which was always the great thing about Venom. We always had a laugh. We always took the piss out of everything,
Nice.
and but we really had a good time. And I think that's why the album had that weight and why it felt real, because we were being real again. We weren't manipulating anything. We were going against the grain of the market. We didn't buy into anything else.
Yep.
We just were who we were, and that's the beauty of Venom. They just are who they are. Like them, loathe them, like me, hate me, like him, not like him. We're just what we are, and we don't have any shame in that.
And that's what I love about it. It's like the Motorhead thing, right? That
Yeah,
uncompromising. We're here to make a statement. I don't give a shit if you like me. Look the other way, put
that's it.
something else on, and
Yeah, absolutely.
dude. I mean, fucking Wastelands, Temple of Ice. These albums. These are great, iconic albums. Like these albums, everybody needs to remember these albums and pick these up and go listen to them wherever you can, because you were just banging out too. Like they were just coming out. When I look at that timeline,
Oh,
you
yeah.
were pumping out albums like it was no one's business.
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of like, I saw it as like, your 3-minute rounds. The bell
Right.
went, you had a bit of a sip of water, and you got straight back in there. You kept your
Yeah.
boots on, and it was just kicking it. And even producing the music, and some people going, "Oh, well, it's not as progressive, or it's not." But it was like, well, what's progressive? We're just playing what we play when we want to play it,
Right.
and we don't. You can't second guess your audience. All you can do is deliver your honesty, and so that's all we had, and that's all we did. And I didn't want to change that, because that was the whole point of Venom, was to give younger audiences a voice to say,
Right.
when they felt that they weren't being listened to, we'd go out and kick the fuck out of everything for them. So
Yeah.
we were doing it for them. It's like, and hopefully that inspired bands to then want to do it as well. And I think very early on, where you can say where the influence of Venom was very in the early days was exactly that. They punched through a hole, through a corporate wall of music that allowed independent music and underground bands to go, fuck, we can make records, we can do this. And the floodgates opened, and the Oakland exploded, and you had your
Yeah.
Slayer and Metallica
Yep.
and John Shazula, Brian Slagle. Everybody just came out and started punching the heavy bag. And look where we are now. Genres up our arsehole. Fucking the most amazing musicians, the most incredible bands
Yep.
with the most incredible history. And it's like being in a chocolate factory where you get dipped in the vat every 5 minutes. It's
Oh,
fantastic.
it's so true. And another thing, and I'm a big Slayer fan, by the way. So thank you for your
Me
service and
too.
putting them on the map and helping them get to
Yeah,
where they need to
baby.
be. Another thing I loved at those albums is some of the covers you did of those '70s iconic. You did Sabbath, you did Deep Purple, but those
Yeah.
songs they don't sound like '70s songs on those albums. Those sound like they just got fucking banged out. I felt like you guys were hanging with all the thrash bands, these younger bands that are out there. You guys were showing them we could even turn these songs into thrashers. Like you
Well,
turned those
that's
songs into
exactly it. I think.
thrashers.
Yeah, I mean, Purple, a huge thing for Abaddon, a big Purple fan. Mantis, a huge Judas Priest fan. We did Hellbent for Metal. We
Yeah.
stuck on a live video, and that ended up on Tear Your Soul Apart, and Speed King and Megalomania. I mean, I'm a huge Sabbath fan, and
Yep.
and so the idea of doing Megalomania was like, well, could it work? And if we did the first part, we'd just make a total fucking mess of that anyway. So
Yep.
we took the second part, the heavy bit,
Yep.
and we made it part of us. And I just did a show 2 weeks ago where I played Megalomania and Primeval back to back. It
Oh,
could have been the same fucking song. It just
yeah.
rolled straight in.
Just roll
The
straight through.
power was all there, and it wasn't about trying to do those songs like they were done. It was
Right.
about doing them how we would do them, and I guess that kind of influenced people to go, oh, I can still be me doing that, because singing a fucking Priest song is like, I'm not fucking Rob Halford.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's only one Rob Halford, so
True.
how can I do that? And I think the same thing with Speed King. I'm not Gillan.
Yep.
It's like, fucking, how do you be Gillan? So you be you doing it, and
Yes.
and that's what it becomes. It becomes part of who you are, part of an extension of you, because very much like your voice, your music is part of your vocabulary. It's an
Yep.
extension of your character, and that's how it should be. 10, 50, 500,000 guitarists can all play a riff, but there's only one Steve Vai playing it.
True.
They can all play a Les Paul or whatever, but there's only one Gary Moore playing that song.
Yep.
And that's the character that comes through, and that's what I always loved about the Venom ethos and the people within that. They are those people, and they're not trying to be anything else. And that was the great thing about a Lemmy, or
Yeah.
all of those heroes that we had, is like there's only one. You can't have another one, and that's the beauty of it. And it worries me with genres when it became very genre specific, was that I would go and see, a black metal band I wanted to go and see, and there was like 10 bands before it, and I couldn't distinguish between some of
Right.
them, or their logos, and sometimes with death metal that happened.
Yep.
And of course you have the iconic death metal bands, which when you actually listen to a Possessed, as opposed to a Massacre, as opposed to an Obituary, as opposed to a Malevolent Creation, or maybe say Death, Possessed, sorry, they're in that genre, but they don't sound the same.
Right.
And I worry that kids take their favorite sound and
Yep.
try and be that sound, and it's like, no, you missed the point. You have to be you. You can play in that style, but you have to be you. That's how the heroes come
It's
through.
it's so true, and I like, if you remember in the '90s, there was just like cover albums coming out all over the place. They were nonstop,
Yeah,
and some of the problem was they would just go in beat for beat, sounding exactly. And then you're
yeah,
like, then why do I need this album? Like when
yeah.
I
What's
heard,
the point? What's
what's the
the point
point?
of
When
that?
I heard
Yeah,
Megalomania, like, again, people are gonna come at me. They're gonna come
of
at me
course.
because for me, that's my version. And I love Sabbath. I'm a massive Sabbath fan, but I got into Sabotage later on. Like, again, I'm looking at my timeline, so I was into like Paranoid
Yeah.
first. I didn't even realize that was their song. Like, to me, that
No,
was a
yeah.
Venom song at first. And then when I heard the Sabbath, it was so different that it was like,
Well, I got two examples of that very same thing. One of my favorite bands in the punk era, because I was into punk before I was into kind of metal, if you like. Was the Dickies, and the
yeah,
Dickies. I thought they were amazing, and I had the incredible string of Dickies. Carlos Caballero playing like 210 beats a minute in '78 was like fucking hell. You talk
wow,
about
yeah,
extremity. So I'm at a party at someone's house, and the Dickies famously played a cover of Paranoid. It was a single,
yep.
and so I'm at a party at someone's house, and I'm upstairs, and I hear this. I hear Paranoid, so I run downstairs and I go to the stereo, and I go, man, you fucking got the thing on the wrong speed, and they're like,
Amazing.
no, it's on the right
Yep.
speed, and I'm saying, no, that's slow as shit, man. It's on the wrong speed. And they went, it's the right speed. I said, you have to play it on it's a 45. They went,
Yep.
no, it's an album. And I went, an album? I looked at the cover. I thought, who the fuck is that?
Yeah,
And what
that's
the fuck
great.
is this?
Oh,
And
dude.
I said, I didn't realize they covered a Dickies song. And they went,
Yep.
it's not a Dickies, it's fucking Sabbath. And I was like,
Oh,
oh my
amazing.
God. My head blew up then.
Yeah.
And when we came to do the album, I was at Abaddon's house, and he put on Sabotage, and he went, do you like this? I went, yeah, it's Megalomania.
Yep.
That's Sabbath. I love Sabbath. And he went, yeah. What do you think we should do this and put it on the album? And I was like, whoa, because it was the first half of the song. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't think that's going to work. And then, of
Yep.
course, he got to the cowbell, and I went, we could do that half. That would
Yeah.
work. And he was like, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So we go to rehearsal, and Amadon says, don't tell Mantis it's a Sabbath song, because if you
Amazing.
tell him it's a Sabbath song, he won't want to do a cover. So tell him you wrote it. So, of course, I was
Amazing.
like, okay, he's bound to guess. We go to the rehearsal, I play the riff. Jeff goes, oh, yeah, that's cool, that's cool. And he said, did you write that? And I go, yeah. And then when the album went out, we were listening to it for the first time. He's looking at the cover, and then he looks at the song credits and goes, who the fuck's Naomi Butler Ward?
That's
And I,
amazing. That's
and
great.
I said, it's Sabbath. And he went, you said you wrote this. And I went, yeah, but I was taking the piss. I
Yeah.
thought you would know. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
that was
awesome, dude.
amazing.
And it's amazing. It's amazing that you were able to put it out like that, and that's something to bands to look at right now. Which what you said too is a little worrisome right now, where I felt like the scene was divided for a long time. Right, it started getting
Yeah,
together, a lot of things, but you're noticing again. You're kind of noticing where people are getting into the genres again. And I'll make
yeah,
videos about it, busting balls, busting chops about this or that, making a joke like I just put one out like which metal is bad, and then the point was no metal's bad. You're gonna love what you love,
yeah,
whatever you want to do. But
yeah.
the comments weren't agreeing with that. The comments were like, "Fuck you, deathcore sucks. Fuck you, death metal sucks." It was one of these things
Oh,
over and over, and I'm like, we kind of got to get out of that. It's best when it's a big
yeah.
blender with metal, right? It's best when Venom can cover Sabbath like that, and it just turns into its own thing.
Yes, exactly, exactly. You know, when we would go and see shows, when I would go and see shows, and I saw everything I could possibly see through punk, through metal.
Yep.
You know, I'd be like losing my mind, you know, at a DC show, a Motorhead show, a Judas
Right.
Priest show, Iron Maiden show, and the guy or girl next to me might have a Styx patch on and a Rush patch, and the one on this side had Blue Oyster Cult and
Right.
Rose Tattoo, and
Yep.
we didn't give a shit what
Nice.
they listened
Yeah.
to other than this. We were all in this together, and we didn't demarcate between the whole thing. And the only reason that the title Black Metal came out
Yep.
for the album was to distinguish against other stuff, you know,
Wow.
from a front cover of a magazine which had John Bon Jovi on,
Yep.
and classing that as heavy metal. And the journalist asking Venom, you know, well, so you guys are heavy metal. They went, well, if they pointed to John Bon Jovi, went, well, if you're calling that heavy metal, we're
Right.
fucking not heavy metal, then are
Yeah.
we? And he said,
Oh,
well,
that's
what are you? They
crazy.
went black metal,
Oh
and
wow.
that was where it came from. So it was distinctive to go. This is what we play. This is how we play. It was an identity thing,
Yep.
and that's great. That then a genre classed themselves as a black metal genre.
Right.
But within that, you had individual bands. Mayhem don't sound like Immortal. Immortal didn't sound, you know, maybe the influences are more battery inclined than from
Right.
Venom. But it was the attitude that came through, and once it starts to roll into too specific, then you have that elitism between genres that says, you know, and any 16-year-olds, I would watch Top of the Pops or listen to chart shows, and they'd go, "What do you think of this?" I got shit. Everything was shit because it
Yep.
wasn't what I was listening
Right.
to.
Yeah.
So if
That's
it
how.
wasn't
Yeah.
Motorhead, it was shit.
I get it.
Yeah. But then when you get older, you realize, well, it's not actually shit. It's just I prefer this or I prefer that. But I'd like to. Quorthon was a big flag waver for that. Thomas Fisher is the same, and I'm the same. Is
Yep.
like we're one big family, and extreme
Yes.
metal, heavy metal. It's all one big
Yeah.
beautiful ball of fucking wax,
Yeah.
and we should all be appreciating the fact that it survives in all of its ugliness, in all of its blunder.
So true.
It's all one beautiful thing.
It's so true, and that's what I try and tell everybody. And don't like just because someone gets into the most commercial stuff at first. That's how I got into it as a kid. You know, my
Yeah.
introduction was David Lee Roth and Alice Cooper. That was my introduction into metal.
Exactly.
And then it
Exactly.
spread into thrash and death and black. And it's like I always tell
Yeah.
them we're one dysfunctional family. Like we're all in here.
Absolutely.
We're gonna argue. We're gonna have disagreements, and you got to accept it all. And metal, I always thought metal, punk, hardcore, goth. Like these are all the outsiders. We're
Yeah.
the ones they tell us we can't fucking dress this way, we can't talk this way, we can't be aggressive, we can't do this. We got to have everybody's backs. We got to have
Yeah.
their backs, and just to see your attitude with all this is amazing. And to see you go through, and I've seen it where people go, oh, a fucking cover band. It's like, I got your cover band right here in my jock, guys. You go
Yeah,
listen to the
exactly.
albums. You're saying this without listening to the albums, and also
Yeah.
not realizing how connected you are to the original, that you were
Well,
there
that's
right in that
it, you know.
scene.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it, JC. It's like, you know, people, particularly with the internet, you know, they like to judge things without the foundation of the information. You know, and
Yeah.
it's the same thing, you know, in a band working, sometimes they work well, sometimes they don't work well. People guess a lot of stuff. All of a sudden, a guess becomes a rumor becomes a
Right.
fact, and then everybody's arguing over facts that weren't facts in the first place.
Yep.
So, you know, I accept that, and that's part of it. And I don't mind if someone comes up and goes, I think you're amazing because of blah, blah, blah. That's fine. But if someone comes up and goes, I think you suck, you're a cocksucker, that's fine. No worries.
Yep.
But why? Justify why do you think
Exactly.
that? And
Yep.
generally, it's based on they think you're taking something away from them, or they heard something that wasn't true in the first place. You know, so I don't mind if you just don't like something, you don't like it.
Right.
Not everybody goes in the ice cream shop. Lots of people walk past it, and most people will eat chocolate flavor, and some people don't like that. That's just human nature. But to diss something just because, let's say I don't like Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden puts a new album out. I don't race to his private Facebook page just to tell
Right.
him he's a cocksucker and his
Yeah.
album sucks.
Yep.
I just don't listen to it. You
Right.
know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. And I think when you're a grown up, that's what you do. But as a youthful, you love something so much that you don't want it to change. You want it to be your all and your everything because you think that's what justifies your connection and that's what gives you meaning to exist.
Yep.
But what they forget is when you go to Vakken, there's 500,000 people or
Yeah.
800,000 people, and they all listen to different stuff. They've all got their own favorite bands, and it's not your band, but they're all coming together to be together as one
Yep.
huge family to support what we love. And what we love is who we are: our music, our tattoos, our piercings, the
Yep.
way we dress, just our attitude, free thinking individuals. It's why the government will press down on this and call it underground, like the
Right.
corporates call us underground. The government presses down that it's all negative because it's not good for youth culture. The music is extreme and noisy. You can't figure out what's happening. They all wear tattoos. They're probably all doing drugs and shagging pigs and sheep, and they're all piercing their bodies.
Yep.
But being raised as a Roman Catholic and going to church,
Hmm.
I was forced to go to church till I was 9 years old. I never came out of a church on a Sunday after being taught the word of God and all of that stuff. I never came out of church. I never saw anybody smiling going, that was fucking brilliant. I had a great time. But
Yeah.
I've
Right.
been to a napalm death gig
Yep.
where people have bounced the shit out of each other and everybody's covered in blood and beer and shit and snots and they're
Yeah.
fucking having the best time of their lives. So it's a positive thing, what we're doing. It's positive. The negativity is only broached on us because these are free thinkers.
True.
We're the people who ask the questions, go, what did you mean by that? You're
Right.
not supposed to be asking that. You're just
Right.
supposed to get up, do your shit, eat your sausage, play with your family, and shut the fuck up. But none of us do that. So they're worried about us. And that's why they
True.
paint us black.
It,
But
it
that
it's
is our strength.
It's our strength for sure. And that's why I love songs like Sepultura, Refuse, Resist. Like, I love those fucking battle cries, right? Where,
Absolutely.
like, you got to question shit. You got to take no shit from people.
Yes.
And a lot of that, like, coming from that punk scene, people don't. It's like when Slayer put out their fucking, with their covers album, and people like, why are
Yeah.
the songs fucking punk songs? I'm like, guys, Punk and Motorhead had so much fucking influence on these fucking
Yeah.
bands you don't fucking
Yeah.
understand. And you took it and you incorporated that into everything. Adam Kraft, Venom Inc. Like,
Yeah.
you hear that
All of
attitude
it.
from you, and you've always seemed like the nicest fucking guy, but also the type of guy like, but don't fuck with me also. I'll be nice till I don't have to be nice, right? Like, I got my eyes on things. I know what's what. And I just love how you've incorporated that into, really three bands. It's fucking crazy that you just keep that all the time. You haven't lost a beat, man. You haven't lost. I was looking up shit on you from fucking 30, 40. You haven't lost anything.
That's the thing. If you know who you are, you
Yep.
stay who you are. You don't have to be anything else. And it is a state of attitude. I'm a reflection of anybody. If you come to me and you're nice, I'm going to be nice. If you
Yep.
come and you're kind and you're sweet and
Right.
you're respectful, I'll be the same. If
Yep.
you want to come and stand on my toes, I'm going to stand on your toes.
Right.
Then I'm going to stand on your knee too,
Yep.
and I'm going to go one step more. So it's reciprocal. You
Yeah.
give what you get. You
True.
respect back, and that's a principle. That's the way it goes. So people have made mistakes and think, yeah, he's this or he's that because I'm a nice, open guy. But it's easy to be nice. It's more effort to be a fucking asshole. So
Right.
I prefer to be nice. It's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Don't prejudge anybody. Let them show you how they want to be with you, and then it's all pure. And even
Right.
sometimes it's understanding people in an environment we're in at the minute where someone gets a haircut and put a picture on their Instagram.
Yep.
50 people write and go, your haircut looks like shit, you're a
Right.
fucking shit bag.
Yeah.
Just because they have want to.
Yeah.
And I think, so I've had people attack me verbally on those social media things before where I've challenged them,
Yep.
not because I don't think they have the freedom to say whatever they want to say, because they do. But I just want to know why you're saying that. And
Right.
9 times out of 10, you find out that they've had a shit day at work, or their birds
Yep.
left them, or
Right.
the car's fucked and they need it for tomorrow, and they're just
Yeah.
pissed off. Then they open their social media and you're smiling, going, I love my fucking life. They're going, I fucking hate you, you
True.
wanker.
It's
So
fucking true.
sometimes it's not you, it's just what's happening to them. And so, it's okay to reach out and to find out what their problem is. There was a guy in Albuquerque many years ago. I'd put something on Instagram. This guy fucking threw everything out of the boat. Yeah, I mean, he was like, fucking this, that, you motherfucker. And so I went toe to toe with him and I said, well, we'll sort this out. I'll come and find your fucking trailer wherever it is
Yeah.
and we'll sort it out in the next tour. Anyway, two or 3 days later, he writes and goes, I'm real sorry, man. I said, what the fuck was all that about? I don't
Yep.
even know who you are.
Yeah.
And he just said, I had the shittest day at work. My woman just left. I got home. I didn't have any money. I had to wait till Friday. I was just pissed off. I opened social media and the first thing I see is you going, I'm having the best time of my life. Isn't it fantastic? Look at
Right.
me. And he said, I just hated you from that moment. He apologized. I said, no, that's okay. I just wanted to know why you did it.
Right.
Now we're great friends. And every time we go through the show, he's on the guest list and we hang out and drink beer.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
so
what
great.
you can do. Just take your moment just to reach out and go, can I help you? Is there something going on that you might
Yep.
want to talk about, or can I do something about? That's the brother and sisterhood that we have. That's what we do in metal. If a man goes down, we fucking pick him up.
Yeah.
We fucking pick him up,
Yep.
and that's who we are. And it's why at the end of every show, Sons of Satan is become the anthem for me, because it's like if they all think that we're bad, then maybe we all are the sons and the daughters of Satan.
Right.
And, well, fucking great. Let's have
Yeah.
a party on that. Yeah.
Let's have the party and maybe look at how we look. And that's a great way that you put that too, is because people can learn a lot. I've seen people even quit social media over comments and things like that. And people get too much.
Yes.
And it's like, you can't. Also, I've learned to say, I don't know what's going on, just like you said, in that person's life that day. I don't know what kind of life they're living. They could be in the worst situation possible. It's easy to go online and go, everyone's busting this guy's balls. I'll just go do it too. And that's what takes a human, that's what takes a man, is to go, I'm going to confront them in that way, though. Let's start there. Now, like you said, it's different if they keep fucking coming at you and they're threatening you. That's a different fucking story. But 9 out of 10 times, it's
not that. Yeah.
I learned that even when I was doing my lives with people, and I'm like, all of a sudden they gained a follower. First the guy comes in, hey, you bald fucking asshole, you lad piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. And you sit there, and I'll toy with them and stuff like that. And again, I'll reach a point where I can say, all right, they're just being a dick. Let's bounce them the fuck out of here. Or, okay, now they're sitting there going, I was just busting your balls. Like, I thought it would be funny.
Exactly.
I've had people say, I wanted the attention. You were talking to me. Like, you seem like a nice guy now. And it's like you said, the worst thing that happens is you have no connection with that person. You don't waste any of your energy. You don't waste that. Save your hatred and anger if you're being attacked physically. If we got to crack heads physically, right? That's the way to do it. Not just with these other people. I'm the same way as you. Love everybody. Love all types of music. Let's get along. Let's keep this thing alive forever. I want this thing, when I'm long dead, I want them to still be talking about all these bands and the impact all of you have made on music, right? And it's so fucking crazy. And then, so you're in Venom, so now they decide to go back with Kronos, right? That's the next stage of that.
Yeah. I had an opportunity, by the time it came to about 92, 93, the metal was struggling to even get shows in Europe and in England.
Yeah.
And I just thought, there's no point flogging a dead horse. Why don't you just put it here, park it up, and then just go and just do something else. If it comes back round, it comes back round. If it doesn't, then the legacy's there forever.
Right.
So I took a job in London. Kronos, it didn't pan out in the US, so he came back to the UK. They got an offer to do a reunion show. They did that and a couple of albums. And then they broke up again, of course. And then I got a call from Mantis would I help out on something. So I went and did his solo album. I did the bass on his solo album.
Nice.
And then we did a couple of shows. And then his management, who were the old Venom management, didn't like me asking them to invest in his album and don't fuck it up. So they thought that was, oh, you're being a twat. So they asked me to leave. So I left.
Wow.
And then they fired him off the label anyway.
Amazing.
So, that was fucked up. And then, he was doing a show. Fast forward about 10 years, I did some acting and I was doing theatrical work for Queen and stuff like that, production managing. And then I did some acting, I did some theater and some movies and stuff and TV. And then I get a call from Jeff again, and he did a show, which was a charity thing for a DJ friend of ours who died, and his drummer had broke his ankle. So he got a phone call from Anton, who was Kronos's brother, who had done Resurrection album. He went on to do Metal Black.
Oh, wow.
And so Anton calls Jeff and says, I'll come and play drums for you so you can still do this show. So they go play this show. I don't know they're doing it because I'm disconnected. I'm in London
Yeah.
working. And then they did a version of black metal at the end, and Mantis sung it. And then people started commenting, "Oh my God, you two should get the Demolition Man back. Wouldn't that
So
be cool, the
sick.
three of you together?"
Yeah.
So I got a phone call, and Jeff said, "Would you be interested?" And I said, "Well, listen, I got work and stuff, but if you want me to do it, I'll do it as long as you don't put your guitar back under the bed. This time we just do it until we can't do it anymore."
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm in," and that's that. Then we were born again. We did Empire of Evil. We did several albums with Empire, toured the planet about 5 or 6 times, and then Oliver Weishammer, who is in Germany, a promoter in Germany, has a festival called Keep It True and Keep It True Rising. And it's kind of retro. He gets classic new wave of British heavy metal bands and stuff to play for like 2,500 strong fan base who sell it out every year. It's sold out. And it was great. And he came to see a show where I played an Atomcraft. They played the first Atomcraft album.
Oh, sick.
And I got Mantis on stage to play a couple of songs at the end.
Nice.
So the next day he messages me and said, "This is Oliver Weishammer. I got this festival, blah, 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 blah. I saw you got Mantis on stage. And did you know Abaddon was in the audience?" And I was thinking to myself, what if Abaddon got up and you played a couple of
Yeah.
Venom classics? And I said, "Well, listen, that's a great idea, but they hate each other, the Venom guys."
Yep.
So I said, "There's no way that's going to happen." And he said, "Well, if I booked you for my festival and Abaddon happened to be there, what's the chances you could do that?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, it's a great idea, but Mantis will say fucking no way.
Right.
So I don't think I can make it happen." And he said, "If anybody can make it happen, you can."
Amazing.
So I was like, "Well, I'll try." So I reach out to Abaddon. Of course, he says yes because he's not doing anything else.
Yep.
I reach out to Mantis, who goes, "Fuck off, no way."
Great.
So I'm like, "Oh, well, that's that fucked." But Oliver was persistent. So I then eventually managed to coax Jeff into doing it. So that's what we did. We played this festival. We did our show, and then we got Abaddon on, and we played 5 Venom classics, and everybody went fucking nuts. But I had to come up with a name for it.
Right.
So Mantis came up with Iron and Steel, which is a line from the single Die Hard, because we had to have that Venom connection.
Right.
But my agent said it needs to be something stronger than that. You need to have, I don't know, maybe Venom in it somehow. So I said,
Right.
"Well, what about Venom Incorporated?"
Yeah.
Which means that it's part of who we are. It
Yep.
doesn't mean we are Venom. It means it's part of who we are, the music
Right.
that we've all done. So that's what we went with. But when the T-shirts turned over the show, it just said Venom Inc. And I said, "It's supposed to say Incorporated,
Right.
Iron and Steel." And they said, "Well, the T-shirt doesn't have that much space, so we just
Wow.
we just
Shortened it up.
abbreviated it."
Yeah.
So that's how it ended up as Venom Inc.
Crazy.
We play the show. And the idea is we pack our bags and fuck off home. We don't see each other again, and that's it.
And that's it.
But no, it didn't work out like that. When
Yeah.
the next morning before breakfast, I had offers to play China, Japan, Australia, South America, Europe, America. So I just said to the guys, "Listen, I don't think we should talk about making albums and publishing because that just causes arguments, money and all that shit. I just think for 15, 18 months, we could go out and play the planet and just play Venom classics. Everybody can get to see Abaddon and Mantis on
Yeah.
stage. They can still go and see Kronos when he plays.
Yep.
What do you want to do?" And they both went, "Let's do it." So that's how we began,
That's awesome. And then when did you guys decide you're gonna lay down new material? Because those are solid fucking albums too. Like people gotta go listen to these albums. These are heavy fucking albums. These are modern, heavy, brutal albums with really catchy riffs. And I wouldn't have thought you'd ever record music again. Like I was fucking shocked when they started coming out.
I was shocked too. In fact, that was fucking John Zazula from, John Zazula,
yeah.
God bless him, of
yeah.
Megaforce. Well, he was kind of like my guru.
Yeah.
So when he retired to Florida from New Jersey, I stayed in contact with him because whenever I found it difficult, I would talk to Jay and he would guide me, and give me advice and help
Yep.
if he could. And so I said to him, "You've got to come out of retirement because we've got all these shows and this thing seems to be rolling by itself and I don't know what to do." So he refused at first to come out of retirement and then would, like, every week would check in with me. And then he went, "Fuck it, why not? I want to have some fun."
Oh,
so he
nice.
jumped on board.
Yep.
And so we had him, Chuck Billy, Testament, because they were part
Yeah.
of the same management thing,
Shit.
breaking bands. And after about I think 10 months, he just said, "You're going to make an album." And I was like, "No, we're not making an album." And he said, "But you have to." And I said, "Listen, if we start doing an album, they're going to be arguing about who writes the songs. They're going to be arguing about who gets paid for the publishing." And I
Yeah.
said, "I just don't need that at my age. I'm only doing this for fun and for the
Right.
fans and for the music."
Yeah.
And he eventually kept pounding me, pounding me. So I said, "Okay, we'll do a demo, but we'll only send it to one record label. If the record label says okay, we'll make an album. If
Yeah.
they tell us to fuck off, they don't like it, we don't." So he said, "Okay, that's it. Who do you want to send it to?" I said, "Well, Nuclear Blast."
Yep.
Because I knew the guys, and I thought,
Nice.
well, they'll know what to do with us. And so we did this. Me and Jeff did this demo, 4 tracks. Sent it to Nuclear Blast. They went, "Yep, we love it. Make an album." I was like,
Sick.
"Fuck, here we go." And that was it.
You were back in it
Game was done.
again. You were back
Yeah, I
in
was
it
like,
again.
"Oh shit!" And of course, to underline the point, Abaddon ended up not being on the album because he found it difficult to play and record the
Right.
stuff. So Mantis and him had a set too, so he ended up using programmed drums on there. And then, very shortly after that, Abaddon walked out, and that was it. We had to bring someone else in, and it
Yep.
was like, fuck. And so,
Wow.
and I think it was all because we made an album. If we hadn't done that, we had just stayed the course and did what I wanted to do, we'd still be doing it.
Right.
But, I suppose I just gave in when I shouldn't have,
Yep.
and we paid the price for that. But life will have turns. Mantis had 2 heart attacks.
Right.
It's like someone said, "Oh yeah, but if Mantis is not going to play," and I said, "Well, maybe it should stop." I said, "Why?" I said,
Why?
you don't stop the bus; it's still going to roll down the fucking hill, whether it's
Yeah.
got an engine in it or not. And I said, you can't prevent life. We all want
Nope.
to be 18 forever,
Right.
but you just can't. I said, so while we don't last forever, but I made a promise. Um, you know, I guess to myself, but also to Lemmy on the last time I saw him in Italy before he died,
Wow.
on that final tour, that I walked down and I just thought, I'm going to do exactly until I can't do it anymore. And if I
Yeah.
have to go on stage, that's what I'm going to do in his honor,
Yep.
because he was my inspiration. And that's what I intend to do. So, if all the doors and the windows come off and the roof comes off and the wheels fall off, I'll fucking push the motherfucker up a hill if I have to.
That's what
But
you got to do.
I'm here. I'm here for the end race,
And we all need that. Everybody needs that. There's so many people psyched to see you on tour. I know you're coming out to North America, right? You got a nice fucking big tour going on, and they need to hear all these classics. They're not. They didn't get to see things in certain times. They appreciate it
Exactly.
so much, man. I can't stand it. I fucking can't stand it when people fucking tell me it's not the original band. Oh my god, it's not the no shit. Nobody's the original fucking band. All these bands from that era, half the people have passed. Half the people want to fucking kill each other,
Exactly.
and half the people just don't play anymore because of health reasons and other things. You need to keep this music alive, and you have the strongest fucking connection there can be. I don't know what to tell people. You have so much lineage to these songs.
I know, and the thing is, you're right, JC. And the other thing that people forget, when they go, maybe you shouldn't be doing those. And it's like, our set is made up of our music, in my period, Venom, and also the classics, because the fans ask for them.
Right.
But they forget, I've been singing these motherfucking songs for 36 years. So it's not like I just decided to do them now from albums I'm not on. I fronted the band for Abaddon and Mantis. I put out albums as Venom. I did shows all over the planet as Venom.
Yeah.
And then I've been singing the same songs, the Countess Batteries, Black Metals. And if a fan is in front of me and goes, "Please play a Welcome to Hell," and I can play Welcome to Hell, and I've been playing Welcome to Hell for 36 years, who am I to say, "Fuck you"? No way. Of course I'm going to play it. And the 65-year-old guy at the back who's got the plastic bag with the original fucking albums in, okay, he might go, "Well, that's not the Venom I went to see with fucking Slayer and Exodus in 1980, whatever, in Milwaukee." But the 16, 17, 18, 20-year-old at the front never saw the fucking band in their life.
No.
But this music means everything to them, and they want to hear it. So they don't give a shit. And I've walked through venues where people have gone, "Hey, Mantis, I fucking love you." And I've gone, "All right, yeah. And I remember even Jeff walked through a show in Florida once, and the guy was going, "Abaddon, Abaddon, Abaddon." And Jeff just kept walking away, I'm going, they know the names, they've seen photos, but we're all older people now. So in their mind, it's like, it's the music that they heard in their bedroom alone. The
Right.
band wasn't there with them.
So
The band
true.
wasn't talking to them. And
Yep.
so if you can play it honestly, mean it, and play it from your soul when you're on stage and you watch their face change when their favorite song comes and
Right.
they just start to, your eyes glaze and they just start to lose themselves. You know that you're doing it right. You know you've connected to them. And that's the whole point of that music, is to connect with those people and to make them feel the same energy that their father
Right. It
or them he saw the band.
Oh, it's so true. It means getting it when I'm out there and I talk to all these kids, and it just means the world to them. And this tour is gonna mean the world to them. It really, really is. And they
Yeah.
do. They can now put that. I got to see it in person. Like I got to hear it.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is you're doing it the right way, right? It's not one of those cases where maybe the band's not as tight as they should be, or you're just phoning it. You don't know how to phone it in, Tony. You like me. We're
Oh, no.
fucking bursting with energy. We don't know what to do with it all the time. And you're
Yeah.
bringing that and that passion, and people see that sincerity in you, and they see the passion
Yeah,
for
well,
it.
that's it, the passion. I think that's the key. It's when I call on him, the Demolition Man.
Yep.
When I'm in my passive state, I'm Tony. And it's
Right.
like if I walk into a venue and they tell me I can't do something, it's the first thing I'm gonna fucking do. And
Right.
they go, but I just told you can't do that in here. And I said, well, don't give me a fucking rule then. If you don't want me
Yeah.
to do it, shut the fuck up and I'll
Right.
just respect the signs on the wall. But
Yeah.
if I walk in there and you fucking tell me I can't, it's the first thing I do, because that's the whole point of our music. Freedom,
Yes.
anarchy, just
Yeah.
making a statement.
Yep.
And I said, when I come off stage, I say to people, you got to just give me 10 minutes so I can transform back into Tony, because the Demolition Man doesn't have any fucking rules. He doesn't give a shit. He
Yeah.
doesn't give a shit what you think, what you said, where you are. He doesn't care. He's just out there to damage something. And when I come off, I get to be Tony again, so I can go, hey, and I'll stand with you in my wet fucking underpants for 5 hours listening to
Right.
a story if that's what you want to share
Yeah.
with me, because that's the whole point. That's the reason I'm out there. But you have to take on stage that attitude. You have to take on that personality on stage, and that liberates those young people who maybe feel constricted by their politics or their family or their
Yep.
work or their social environment, and so they want to go out and feel true freedom. And we talk about freedom in the world, and we talk about free states and everything else, but the real freedom is particularly within extreme music or metal, is our music. Because
Right.
when you're in that show, when you're in that pit, that mosh pit is at a Slayer show or an
Yeah.
Exodus or Anthrax or whatever it is, you cannot think about anything else. It's like going to the gym. It's like you can't think about anything else.
Right.
You're not sitting in the toilet
It's
having a
true.
shit. You're fucking in the middle of some
Yeah.
maelstrom where the energy is so palpable. That's all there is, and you feel completely liberated, completely free. And if you do that, and it means that when you wake up the next day, you can handle your boss, you can be nice to your parents,
Yep.
you can deal with your teacher who's a wanker, and not rob anybody and not do any bad shit, then great. Come to the show, let yourself go. We have 30 dates. We start in Santa Ana, we go all the way around the country. We miss out some dates, but we're going to put them in part two because we
Okay.
couldn't get them in.
Yep.
But we go through, from Frisco, Vegas, all the way across to New York, right back down to Florida, come all the way through Texas, and head out all the way back to San Diego. So we got 30 dates in a row,
Wow.
2 months of tour, and we got a hell of a show. And two of the things I'm going to do is. We've got enough songs, enough bullets in our gun that nobody's going to experience the same night.
Oh, that's
Nobody.
sick,
And
man.
yeah,
Oh,
and
nobody's. Oh shit.
I've got guests popping up everywhere, like
Whoa.
great guests are just
Yep.
popping up because they were coming to the shows, and I was going, hey, if you're coming, you got to get up and do something. So they're
Oh,
like,
that's
fuck
sick.
yeah. So the whole thing's going to be wicked. It's going to be so much fun. So yeah, wherever you are, I swear to God, you're going to get your own personal show and you're going to love it.
Guys, you got to get out and fucking see him, guys. We're talking iconic here. You're talking someone that puts in 150 fucking %. We're talking.
There's only one way.
That's the only way to fucking do it. And I love that attitude that you have when you're out there, you're performing. That's who you are. That's something I had to learn. Sorry to make it about me, Tony, but I got a big ego. I don't know what to say.
No,
I
you
got to
did,
ask
that's
you.
good.
I want to get right back to this tour and all my friends in Massachusetts, all right? I believe you're coming to Massachusetts, correct?
As far as I know, the dates
Okay.
seem to be changing a bit, but we had a couple of, like, we had a Connecticut show that changed,
Yep.
uh, but I think that's gone back into part two. So, if we don't get to you, if we don't get close enough to you this run, there's a part two at summer end.
Okay.
We'll be back. So I promise we'll be there. This side
Perfect.
or that side, wherever you are, don't worry.
That's what they need. Everybody needs to see it. And I use that fucking advice you're giving people. That advice of just going out there, being yourself. It's so
Yeah.
powerful. I got to do one with you on here, Ethan. I'm sorry. I got to ask him if I haven't yelled one in a while. When I go out in public in this show, Tony, sometimes in record stores, sometimes at a McDonald's, they make me do this all the time. I got to yell these words right here. Do you mind if I yell one with you on the line?
No.
You hear,
Yeah,
I'm getting a little
absolutely.
nervous about this. I fucking look up to you so much. One of my favorite bands, Tony, that you helped inspire, some rock and rollers from the West Coast, a little band called fucking Slayer! They knew how to thrash! That's how you fucking say their name. And the Demolition Man
baby.
helped create these motherfuckers. He was out there putting his blood, sweat, and tears for you guys. You gotta get out and support this show. This ain't me just bullshitting. I can't explain. This album changed my fucking life. I'm on the phone with the guy that did it. I've gotten better about getting nervous. I've gotten better, but I can't fucking help it, Tony. I am so happy to be talking to you. I'm so happy to hear that attitude. I'm so happy to see you have that piss and vinegar, like you just got started. I'm so happy for you to tell people. That's how you need to come see us. Don't fuck yourselves out of history. Come see this legend. This is metal history.
It's vital. And don't, if you're listening to propaganda, if you're listening to whoever's like telling you what should be what, the thing is, when you travel your journey, it's your fucking journey. You're the one who's born and you're the one who'll die, and you'll do both those things by yourself.
Right.
And so the choices you make in your life, they make it good or they make it bad. And don't worry about the bad stuff. We all fuck up a bit, but we learn from it and we move forward. But any achievements you get will be yours.
Right.
Any bad things that will happen will be your mistakes. You just take responsibility for it and go, okay, it was a fucking mistake, and then I'll learn better. But so in the same experience you experience. Everybody eats an apple, but you eat that apple and you taste that apple. You like it, you don't like it, but it's your experience. So give yourself that. Give yourself that moment. If someone's telling you you shouldn't, you should, or whatever, you decide whether you want to. And do I want a piece of this? And if you come and you get nothing from it, that's fair enough. But I promise to God, you will come and you'll walk out with a big fucking smile on your face and you'll go, wow, some shit just went down and I was there. And so give yourself that. Give yourself that.
You heard it from the man, the legend himself, Tony. It's been a pleasure. Again, I can't believe I even am talking to you as a teen into all these albums, dude. Just watching you, and you delivered everything I thought you'd be. As you know, sometimes that doesn't happen when you talk to some of your heroes. Sometimes you're disappointed, but like you said, that's lessons learned sometimes. It's things that you don't have to take to heart. It's not about you. Again, you don't know what that person's going through, what they've been through. You're just spitting so many words. I can't wait till I'm promoting this and I'm cutting all these words. There's going to be too many words of wisdom to keep up with here. What else? Is there anything else you want to plug, Tony? The tour, we're all going to come out and support.
That's it. We start off on the 8th of January in Santa Ana. Go to our Facebook page or our website, which is venominc.co.uk. My Facebook page is Tony Dolan, the real Tony Dolan, Tony Demolition Man, or the Venom Inc page. Same on Instagram. Just come and hook up. If there's something you want me to play, you think like, fuck, wouldn't it be amazing? Drop me a line, and if I can put it in, I'll put it in for you where we are. But we've got 2 live albums going out next year, an EP, and then the new album at the end of the year. We'll be back 2 stints in America. First one's 30 dates. We'll come back and do another 30 and roll into Canada. Don't miss it. Don't fucking miss it. I'm telling you. Salem's Child are with us. They're a top band coming out of Indiana. And every band on the undercard is specific to where we are. So when we get to Corpus Christi, the bands that are opening the undercard are all bands from Corpus Christi, the cream of the crop.
Amazing.
We've got every kind of style right across America. So when somebody tells you, yeah, well, metal's not so big in America, I think it's dying or rock's dying, I'm telling you, we got out of 30 dates, I'm going to say 120 underground US bands that all are fucking firing on
Yep.
all cylinders. So it's alive and very, very well right across the states. So I'm going to be able to take some videos and put them up so you can see them too.
Sick.
So you know, it's going to be a trip of a fucking lifetime.
So sick, Tony. And last thing I'll say too is I like making hype videos. You know, I like to be hyper, and I'm probably gonna get off here and go fucking hype your tour. I'll do a little video. I'll tag you on Instagram because
yes, please. Yes, please.
I'll message you too. Like if you collaborate shit, then you can get my followers to see that, and we'll stream that way.
Absolutely.
So any way I can help with this, when I talk to the fucking legend, the icon, just one of a kind. I'm psyched for this tour, dude. I'm so happy you're keeping this alive. Everybody, we're going to get him. We got to get out there. We're going to keep hyping this thing, man. It's been a pleasure. You ever need anything, you call the MadMan. He'll help take care of it. Don't you worry. I got your back all the time, Tony. Thank you so much. Much love, brother. Really appreciate you taking the time. I really do.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to say goodnight. I'm not going to let you go. Thank you so much for this, JC. You are a madman. I love you to death, and I've got your back too. And let me just say, wherever I am, when you come, you're always a guest. So you just let me know where you want to be, and you're always my guest. So you have a good day, have a good night, and I'll see you very soon, I hope.
You will. I'll make sure. I'm going to go cry now, Tony. They don't need to see this side of me, brother.